Sports Scene, Hampton Roads' premier interview show with Greg Bicouvaris, each Saturday from 10 a.m. to 11.
And you look at that, 4-4 at home, which is just average, 4-3-1 on the road. I mean, you're not going to win any games like that. They were not the same team after they beat the Packers, yet the Packers were a totally different team.
Interact with Sports Scene on Twitter @GregBic and listen weekly as Greg interviews distinguished guests with excellent commentary and insight. Sports Scene, Saturdays at 10 a.m. on the Lighthouse 100.1 FM. From Chesapeake, Virginia, the Lighthouse 100.1 presents Sports Scene. Sports Scene features local, regional, and nationally acclaimed guests and excellent interviews. Follow Sports Scene on Twitter @GregBic. Now here is Greg Bicouvaris.
Sports Scene presented by Hampton Roads OnlineMall.com. Sports Scene is midweek online, Saturday on the radio on WPMH, AM 1010, 100.1 FM. TuneIn.com, type in WPMH in the search bar. Tell your friends about Sports Scene. Twitter @GregBic, @GJB Radio. You can see the rest of my Twitter handles on GJBTV.com as well in the contact section. Thank you to our military. Guest lineup presented by Mi Casita Mexican Restaurants with 2 delicious locations in Virginia Beach. Phone line presented by Outback Steakhouse in Kempsville and Virginia Beach, now delivering. GJBTV.com. Thank you for all that you do. NFL postseason, bowl season was overall okay. Plenty of coaching changes in the NFL. Basketball and conference play is heating up. NBA and the Wizards trying to find themselves, of course, later on this month on WPMH on the weekends. Great interviews, excellent guests, business segments, highlights, commentary, what tees to be off. Thank you for listening to Sports Scene Weekly, and we love our regulars, locals, tourists, and newcomers who listen online and on the radio. Stay tuned.
Hey mamas, wouldn't it be nice if life had a pause button so you could hold on to those precious moments with your little ones? Time is not our friend, but Chesapeake artist Beverly Gurganis can make those special moments last forever with her Children of the King portraits. Just imagine your child captured in oil wearing a crown symbolizing their worth. The process is easy. You provide the photo and Beverly Gurganis will create a one-of-a-kind oil painting you will be sure to love. Each portrait comes framed and ready to hang. Visit BeverlyGurganis.com to learn more.
Catch up on archived editions of Sports Scene by going to GJBTV.com and clicking the YouTube image on the homepage. Now back to Sports Scene with Greg Bicouvaris.
And welcome back to Sports Scene. I want to thank our good friends at Sakura Japanese Restaurant. Go by and see Jasmine and the friendly staff in Chesapeake. Sushi bar, takeout, dine-in, all you can eat. They deliver as well. Walmart Way Crossing Shopping Center, 1437 Sam's Drive in Chesapeake. Give them a call at 410-4577. Open 7 days a week, including major holidays. We've had them on before, several times on Sports Scene. Let's welcome back regular Adam Winkler from News Channel 3. Adam, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Greg. Always a pleasure to talk some sports with you, my friend.
Yes, likewise. Hope you and the family and the newborn are all doing well.
We sure are. 2019 is treating us well thus far. Early returns are positive.
Very nice, very nice. Well, let's talk about sports. You know, I thought about you during the holidays and actually driving up during the Redskins game about fans in general. And, of course, you have a lot of Texas roots, of course, and high school football is big. But what you said in the comment we did in an interview was very, very relevant about how this area has gotten players like Lawrence Taylor and Ron Springs and Bruce Smith and Allen Iverson and Michael Vick and Ronald Curry. Yet high school sports is not that big of a deal here. You're not going to Buffalo Wild Wings hearing anybody talking about it. Rarely do the TV channels show it unless it's a feature story. And even the print is starting to cut back. And I'm wondering, holy cow, look at these rosters like you do on Major League Baseball. You see a guy like Kadire in the past or Wright or Zimmerman. Yet there's not a whole lot of buzz other than they're from this area. It makes no sense.
I continue to be baffled by it. I mean, you could just, look at some of the bowl games that were played. I mean, many marquee games with, players who played high school football here. I mean, anywhere from, Buffalo to the Ohio State and just about everywhere in between. There's so much talent coming out of here. And then once those athletes get to the NFL, if they do get to the NFL, you do see a lot of fans around here kind of claiming them. Oh, hey, yeah, they're from Hampton or they're from Chesapeake. But where are these people when these kids are playing for Hampton or playing for Chesapeake? And it's one thing that I just don't understand. There are certain exceptions to the rule. For instance, Grassfield and Oscar Smith and the schools up in the York County area, James City County. Those atmospheres are wonderful. But I'm still just confused why, you could have a Lake Taylor home game, a team that ended up playing for a state championship, that's played for a state championship, 4 out of the last 7 years? Mm-hmm. And the stands aren't packed for a district game on Friday night. And I realize we live in a beautiful part of the country, and there are a whole lot of options in terms of things to do. But I'm with you. It just kind of causes me to scratch my head that there isn't more support for the high school football. And people enjoy the highlights because social media and our ratings for the Locker Room Show on Friday nights, you can tell that moves the needle. But I just wonder why folks aren't going to the games at 7 o'clock on Friday night.
Well, I think you said it. Your show, we televise games at Newport News Live. Hampton does games, over the years. Chesapeake has done them as well, high school games. But those are few and to the exception where it's a lot easier to watch from the comfort of your living room than having to go out after working all week on a Friday night. But you look at this whole bowl system. Really, does anybody remember any game? Even the Final Four was almost irrelevant as far as the scores were concerned, lopsided for the most part. The championship game will be exciting, of course, because those are the two teams you expect. But, look at the NFL. 6 teams from the AFC, 6 from the NFC. Nobody says should there be 8. We've heard that conversation in college football all the time. The NFL gets it right. College and the bowl system still seems to be like blah.
And it's weird. College football, they're just, I don't know if they're chasing their tail or just trying to figure out how to monetize this to the highest extent. But it felt weird this year that the playoff semifinals were on Saturday, the 29th, and then New Year's Day you had these air quotes marquee bowl games. You're talking about the Rose Bowl and the Sugar Bowl, and it just felt strange that those are played after the playoff games, which are clearly the most important. So how are we supposed to believe that the Sugar Bowl and the Rose Bowl and the Peach Bowl are important when they just felt blah, like you said, after because they come after the 2 semifinals, and we know who the championship game is going to be. It's Bama and Clemson. It just feels weird, and every year the NFL playoffs become more and more of must-see TV. I mean, you've got your primetime game on Saturday night. You've got the national TV windows back-to-back weekends, and the ratings are going to be huge, and there's huge markets involved. And I'm with you, Greg. I think the college football playoff committee needs to find a way to make it like the NFL, where the regular season very certainly matters because it gets you into the playoffs, but the postseason is the ultimate golden ticket. How do you find a system where both things matter, without making the regular season irrelevant or without making the entire postseason boring with the exception of one game?
Sports Scene at Greg Bick on Twitter, at GJB Radio on Twitter. We'll get Adams in just a moment as well. You're exactly right. I mean, that Saturday, the Final Four of college at least, not like the NCAA basketball Final Four, I was out running errands during the Notre Dame-Clemson game. I mean, because it was a blowout anyway, and most people looked like they didn't even really care about that first game. The second game was more intriguing, of course, because you have 2 marquee coaches and, of course, 2 marquee programs. Not that saying that Notre Dame and Clemson aren't, but it was a blowout regardless. You can have all the marquee you want, but if it's a blowout, nobody's going to watch in the second half. But it just didn't seem like there was any buzz. I mean, you start all this hype with college football, and then to end it like this, the championship game, of course, will always be exciting. That's the exception. But college football, Adam, regardless, seems to get dwarfed by Week 17 of the NFL and the first round of the postseason.
And especially around here, and you and I have talked about this plenty. This is just a market, a part of the country, a corner of the world that eats, sleeps, breathes NFL football. And year after year, week after week, you can just look at the ratings. And our market, which is 3 hours from the closest NFL team, 3 hours from the Redskins, 3.5 from the Ravens, 6 from the Panthers, continually ranks in the top 10 of these national broadcast windows for the year. ESPN Monday Night Football, the Norfolk market, was top 5 for Sunday Night Football, and NBC, it was top 10. That shows you all you need to know. We aren't a college football market. We're 4.5 hours from the flagship program in the state, Virginia Tech. Old Dominion University isn't nearly as marquee of a program as it thinks it can be, but everybody has an NFL team. I don't say everybody. Most people have an NFL team. Many people here did not grow up here. They came here from somewhere else, so they have an NFL team from somewhere else. So it doesn't have to be a Redskins or Panthers or Ravens game to draw their interest. And you're exactly right. It continues to be a much bigger deal, the playoff race, Week 16, Week 17, wild card weekend, than Alabama Clemson. And I also think that, I kind of felt the same way with you about the college football playoff semifinals, and maybe it's a little bit of Bama Clemson fatigue. Mm-hmm. And, by no means am I a fan of either one of those programs. I have mad respect for Nick Saban, but I almost felt like I didn't need to make the playoff semifinals must-see TV because I knew it was going to happen. I knew that these two teams were going to be playing on Monday night, and I'd be able to sit down and watch the game then and not have to worry about watching Clemson, blow the doors off of Notre Dame and Alabama go up 28-0 on Oklahoma. So I think that plays a little bit into it as well.
College sports around here is kind of like a nice pizza. You got bits and pieces that like Old Dominion, but they had a bad record regardless of their win against Tech. Tech had a losing record themselves, so that looked like it wasn't a great win against the Tech team this year. It was a great win against the Tech name is what it was, and a program that's been established for decades. You got UVA basketball that's always good during the regular season. They bomb in the postseason. So you got your niche stuff. Wade Mary's a very small school. Norfolk State, Hampton University they have a little following. So it seems like there's bits and pieces, but nothing compares to pro sports. March Madness is great, but college basketball really doesn't pick up steam, Adam. You know this, until after the Super Bowl.
Absolutely. And our market is very uniquely positioned for, the ACC when it comes to men's hoops. And I think the fact that, UVA has had the success that it's had in the regular season, and, Duke and Carolina are just such blue blood programs and only a couple hours down the road. I do think there is some college hoops interest and NBA draft interest, but you're exactly right. Not until after the Super Bowl. Football season doesn't end when Week 17 ends around here. You've got your postseason games. We at News 3 are covering the Super Bowl again. We've got the Super Bowl on our air this year. That's going to be taking us through the first week of February, and National Signing Day has changed, and that's now a December event. It's no longer a February event. So once we get to the Super Bowl, you're right. It's time to really focus on college hoops, but there's 5 weeks left in the season. There's 5 weeks until the conference tournament then, and Old Dominion basketball, I think they are very excited about the squad they potentially have this year and have a chance of getting back to the postseason. But you're exactly right, Greg. Until the NFL season crowns its champion, until somebody holds up the Lombardi Trophy in Atlanta February 3rd, nothing else is going to be able to snatch the headlines from the behemoth that is the NFL.
Yeah, how many fans you think on a Saturday night would rather watch the Seahawks and the Cowboys or a random college basketball game in person even? So that shows you the power of the Cowboys, the power of TV as well. Stay tuned. We'll come back for the second part with Adam Winkler after this on Sports Scene.
At Hartman Dentistry, not only do you experience exceptional customer service with compassionate dental care, but with our in-house lab, we're able to offer same-day dentures. Options are available for all budgets. Plus, we work with 2 credit companies that will finance treatment for patients without insurance or limited coverage. Call Hartman Dentistry today to learn more about how we can fix your smile faster. Call 757-873-3407. That's 873-3407.
Interact with Sports Scene on Twitter at Greg Bick. Email bicogb@hotmail.com. Now back to Greg Bicouvaris in the Hampton Roads OnlineMall.com studios.
And welcome back to Sports Scene. I want to thank all the men and women in uniform serving around the world listening to Sports Scene. Thank you for all that you do. We hope you're enjoying today's broadcast on TuneIn.com by typing WPMH in the search box. Thank you. Talking to Adam Winkler from News Channel 3. Adam, another thing, too, is you have Texas roots, of course, from New Orleans, lived in Texas most of your life, down here the last several years. You see Old Dominion, who hasn't made the NCAA tournament yet under Jeff Jones. They have in the past. They got a nice win over Syracuse, of course, all this during the regular season, but, of course, people only remember the postseason. But would you ever have thought when you came down here that Old Dominion would be playing Texas schools that a lot of the kids that you went to school with kind of sneered at, looked the other way compared to Texas A&M, Texas Tech, and Texas?
It is kind of full circle in a way. My first job in the business was in Monroe, Louisiana. So I was covering ULM and Louisiana Tech, and back then ULM playing in the Sun Belt and Louisiana Tech playing in the WAC at the time. But the WAC had Rice and it had UTEP, and the Sun Belt had UT Arlington was in it, and I'm trying to think of some of the other Texas schools. And now, Old Dominion, I mean, the only team that has a higher net ranking, the new RPI, than the Monarchs, North Texas. and it's not, don't get me wrong, college basketball is certainly not a big deal in Texas. In Texas, there are two seasons. There's football season and there's spring football season. Basketball is just what folks do to stay indoors during the winter months if it does get cold out in Lubbock or up in Fort Worth or something like that. But it is interesting that Rice and UTEP and North Texas, not just basketball, baseball, and that's obviously a different animal. I mean, I got excited my first year here in Hampton Roads when Rice baseball came to play Old Dominion. I mean, Rice baseball is the ultimate for a kid growing up in the Houston area. I mean, they were national champions in 2003. Wayne Graham, the legendary coach, he's not there anymore. But that was a huge deal, and I remember I got excited when the Owls and the Old Man were coming to play ODU. But it is nice to see some folks with similar hometowns to a bunch of people that I grew up with.
But as I was telling Bob Molinaro, who was a guest on Sports Scene a few weeks ago, and he agreed too that they have to play James Madison, VCU, schools like that, William Mary during the first half of the season to get buzz, because there's really not a whole lot of buzz about Rice and North Texas and schools like that, unfortunately, for the people in this area.
Right, and that's the thing. I mean, especially ODU is in such a unique position in terms of trying to schedule. UVA won't schedule ODU. There's nothing for UVA to gain, just so much to lose, and ODU doesn't want to play Norfolk State because similar situation. It's not going to help them, so ODU ends up taking a bye game, going and playing Syracuse and upsetting Syracuse, and that's going to be a huge deal, they hope, for postseason implications. But Syracuse might not be all that good. It might be a similar situation to the ODU football team beating Virginia Tech. It's very very unique with the scheduling, and like you said, there's just not a ton of buzz with college hoops and the schedule. I did enjoy the non-conference slate that ODU played this year. There was a week span where they played VCU, JMU, and William and Mary, and I thought that was great. I thought the old CAA rivalries, bringing those back, I think the fans really enjoyed it, and I certainly think that if you lined up a group of fans and asked them the questions, they would prefer that ODU men's hoops played in the CAA. But in terms of cachet and regional exposure and footprint, especially in the bigger sports, the Conference USA makes the most sense.
Yeah, the biggest win maybe of the year so far is Liberty beating UCLA. Cost Steve Alford his job.
Yes.
Yeah, it cost him his job.
Yeah, it sure did. That was the last one. Yeah, I guess you can't lose at home by 20 to Liberty. Even though Liberty's good, Liberty,
sure.
Bradford, ODU, obviously VCU. We got some hoops here in the Commonwealth.
Yeah, that was something else. Talking to Adam Winkler right here from News Channel 3. Greg Bicouvaris. This is Sports Scene every Saturday morning on 1010 AM, 100.1 FM, tunein.com. Type in WPMH online always during the week. A couple things about college basketball. It's always November and December. They're trying to get people in the seats, kind of like college bowls in December. You see a lot of low attendance, but really it comes down to, what I know is TV programming. I have to go 3 or 4 hours away to work side work because there's not a whole lot of network games shown in this area. Very few. Old Dominion's TV schedule is almost like a step above YouTube. It's really horrible.
And that's,
and I'm being nice.
I think that's on the league. That's on Conference USA.
Yeah.
And it's just, their deal with Stadium and I honestly think the most exposure they get is when they put their games on Facebook, because everybody has Facebook.
Right.
And you don't have to worry about scrolling through your guide to the channels with 5 digits to try and find, the HD feed of Stadium-2. When they put it on Facebook, that's how people see it. But the problem is you can't monetize Facebook. And you're not going to be able to make money. It's not going to be a quote-unquote TV deal. But you're exactly right. I mean, Conference USA, and that's the struggle that it will continue to, to grapple with, is just how to gain this league and, exposure in this age of multimedia where, nobody's gonna pay these schools a bunch of money and put their games on ESPN2 and ESPNU unless you want to play on a Tuesday night or on a Wednesday night. It's just the league doesn't have that kind of cachet, and you're exactly right. In terms of regional broadcasts around here, you probably have to head up to D.C. or to the Raleigh area. I mean, I imagine an occasional, Blacksburg, Charlottesville, Richmond event, but you're exactly right. Not a whole lot of marquee TV programming down in this neck of the woods for college hoops.
Yeah, Old Dominion had more games on ESPN when they were in the FCS in college football even, so that should tell you something right there. Those were during the postseason playoffs, which the FCS has gotten right, and the FBS is still trying to figure out what they're going to do. Real quick nuggets with you. We're going to let you go here in a few minutes. Just quick answers. Mike London at William & Mary. My mom taught him all good. He coached at UVA. He only had barely a winning record there, while he was there. Recycled coach, your thoughts?
I think it's the perfect hire for William & Mary. I think they need to find a way to appeal to some of the athletes coming out of this area. I mean, we know William & Mary is just a phenomenal school, and it's not just a national institution. It's an international institution. But if they can find a way, and if anybody can, it's going to be Mike London and his recruiting.
Sure.
If they can find a way to get some of these kids from around here who might not have the big Power 5 offers to go to William & Mary and play at William & Mary, have the opportunity to play a UVA, a Virginia Tech in non-conference before starting your CAA slate, I think that can turn the program around. Jimmy Laycock did an unbelievable job, but what it ended up doing him in at the end of his tenure was he just didn't have the athletes that that JMU, that Elon, Maine had, and that shouldn't happen in this area. So I think Mike London and everything I know about him as a recruiter should work. Like you mentioned, he hasn't had a ton of success, at UVA, better at Howard. We shall see if the results. But as you know, Greg, it's not about the X's and O's. It's about the Johnnies and the Joes. And if he can find a way to get the good Johnnies and Joes in Williamsburg, things will take care of themselves.
You're right, because Laycock did not win a whole lot lately, and he didn't recruit that well from this area other than the Oscar Smith quarterback from late. Real quick, your thoughts on Bryce Harper. What is he going to do?
Man, I think he's going to make a lot of money is what he's going to do. All along I've kind of thought that, hey, there's no way he would go back to the Nationals. But the more I see that, teams are just kind of waiting on Machado, it appears, to see where he signs and that first domino to fall. But, I think if I had to guess now, I think Bryce would go to L.A., especially after the Dodgers, got rid of Kemp and Puig. And I think that makes sense. He's close to Vegas, his hometown. But, Philly, it could make sense if Machado goes to the Yankees. I can't imagine the Phillies striking out on both those guys. But I'm putting a lot more stock in the Nats now than I did maybe 2 months ago when we talked.
Right. Finally, 8 NFL coaching openings. Unbelievable. We knew about Cleveland and the Packers early. What doesn't make sense is Greg Williams actually made the Browns relevant again, and they're going to go into a search. It makes no sense at all in that one. He had a pass, as you know, with Bountygate in New Orleans back, in the days when you were in that area in Texas. But it just doesn't make sense about the Browns.
No, if you're gonna pass on a guy that won you more games in a half a season than they'd won in the last 3, you better make the right hire. I mean, you don't pass on Greg Williams, the internal candidate who's proven that he can win with your roster, to hire Adam Gase or some anonymous Vance Joseph or anybody like that. You better hit a home run hire. And I don't know if Mike McCarthy would be that guy. I don't know if Harbaugh would be that guy, but you're exactly right. The Browns are winning games, and this is something we haven't said in years. And it's one of those, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So you better be able to do better than Greg Williams, because Greg Williams almost had this team finish with a winning record. What were they, 7-1 going into the final week of the season?
Yeah.
So you better upgrade. You're exactly right.
Well, he's mature. He's evolved. He was a head coach at Buffalo way back in the day. He was an assistant under Joe Gibbs. So what? He made a mistake. Not the worst thing in the world. I mean, he kept a low profile, and all he did was win this year. Adam, all the best, my friend. We will catch up here again soon. Happy New Year to you and your family, and all the best.
Happy New Year, Greg. Always a pleasure to chat with you. See you soon.
Adam, one more thing. Plug your Twitter handle.
I appreciate it. It's at Adam Wink Sports, and we work with, obviously, WTKR, so you can find all of our content at WTKR.com.
Very good, my friend. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks again, Greg. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Adam Winkler right there from News Channel 3 right here on Sports Scene. Stay tuned.
Good junk, bad junk. Old electronics, computers, cables in a box laying around. What's to be done? Fortunately, Providence Computers in Chesapeake is your 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. daily drop-off location for recycling all such stuff. We even appraise and purchase the newer items for hard, cold cash. Providence Computers is located at 473 Kempsell Road in Chesapeake, behind Wawa and next to Walmart. If it's your home or business, we welcome the chance to partner with you to recycle sensibly. Call us today, 382-7768, and see us at providencecomputers.com.
You are listening to Sports Scene with Greg Bicouvaris. Now, back to Greg. It's now time for Greg's Highlights, presented by HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com.
And welcome to Highlights. I want to thank our good friends at Buffalo Wild Wings and Newport News. Go by and see Paul and the friendly staff. Get some great lunch, dinner, appetizers, great rollout menu. Like them on Facebook. Download their app for some great specials as well. The best wings around. Traditional wings, boneless wings, salads, burgers, sandwiches, beverages, desserts, a kids menu, all the NFL games on TV, NBA, college basketball, National Hockey League. It's all at Buffalo Wild Wings and Newport News next to Patrick Henry Mall on Jefferson Avenue. Give them a call, 249-3999, 7 days a week. Your NFL postseason headquarters is at Buffalo Wild Wings at 12150 Jefferson Avenue in Newport News. Great sauces for those wings, family fun, friends, adult beverages, and much more at Buffalo Wild Wings, Wings, Beer, Sports. Highlights, of course, GJBTV.com, HRSMHOF.com, HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com, GJBTV.com. Click the YouTube link for archive shows. Our question of the day presented by Buffalo Wild Wings and Newport News to our esteemed producer, Joe Daniel. Joe Daniel, with the new year, Happy New Year to you, my friend.
Happy New Year to you.
Would you rather exercise more in 2019 as a resolution or eat better if you had to choose one, now that we're in January and we still have a good 300 plus days left this year?
Yeah, absolutely. If I had to choose one, I think diet is the most important thing that you could do. Outside of exercising, diet is the most. I used to work out a lot and eat way healthier than I do now, but there was a phrase in the fitness industry or whatever. It says bodies are made in the kitchen, not in the gym. A good physique is made in the kitchen, not in the gym. I mean, when you think about it, how much time do you really spend eating and how much time do you spend in the gym? It's a very small percentage that you actually spend in the gym. And is it needed? Yes, exercising is needed. But the biggest thing is a good nutritional diet. And I think Thomas Edison said something along the lines of nutrition will be the medicine of the future. And I truly do believe that, where we have all these prescription pills and we have all this medication to help our ailments and our illnesses that we have. But really, I think diet can help solve a lot of the illnesses that afflict your body just by simply looking at what you eat and cutting things out and incorporating things that you know should be helping your body out. I think that would be, if more people did that, I think there would be a lot less diseases and a lot less ailments that rid our society now.
I totally agree because, even though we have family and friends, you spend most of your time alone and alone in your own thoughts, alone driving around, getting a bite to eat at the grocery store. You're not spending 20 hours at the gym, but you have a lot of idle time to sit around and eat. And you kind of wonder why people go astray. They have those big New Year's resolutions in January and they go back to eating hamburgers and Twinkies the rest of the year.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's hard to keep up the habit, and hard to change your life that drastically. If you're used to eating poorly, if you're used to having, like you said, the cheeseburgers, the fast food, then that's automatically what you're going to go to when you're stressed or for convenience. It's natural that would happen, but it's just takes a lot of hard work. And if it weren't easy, then everybody would be doing it.
My best thing is to cut out one or two vices. If you can cut out those one or two vices, whether it's a beverage or a food that has a lot of sugar or a lot of calories or a lot of fat, you're doing step to do it in piecemeal as opposed to doing it all at once.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, do it all in pieces. And sugar is the biggest thing. That's such a hard craving to overcome sugar because they put sugar in everything. In food that you wouldn't think has sugar is probably added in it.
And I'll say this, if I can help somebody too on the radio, I was drinking sugar-free Red Bulls and 5-hour energies a lot, meaning at least 1 5-hour. I've had a rough night the night before, physically, emotionally, it would give me that edge. Caffeine gives you that edge. That's the thing. But to stop it cold turkey was not easy, but I can do it if anybody can do it. And we're talking energy drinks here. We're not talking alcohol, folks. So that's not the worst thing in the world. And I did drink it in moderation, but it's hard to give up that sugar fix.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, caffeine, most addictive drug in the world is caffeine. And that's one of the hardest things outside of, I think, sugar as well.
Very good. Stay tuned.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go. And pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-648-9175. 800-648-9175. That's 800-648-9175.
Catch up on archived editions of Sports Scene by going to gjbtv.com and clicking the YouTube image on the homepage. Now back to Sports Scene with Greg Bicouvaris.
And welcome back to Sports Scene. I want to thank our good friends at No Forks Cheesesteaks and More. Open Monday through Friday from 11 to 4. Go by and see Patty and the wonderful staff at 5045 Virginia Beach Boulevard. Get some great lunch. Of course, great cheesesteaks, great sides, great sodas, great burgers, all at No Forks Cheesesteaks and More. Like them on Facebook. Give them a call at 473-0087. Visit them today, Monday through Friday, for a great lunch, a great meal, and a most pleasing atmosphere. Let's welcome back our 2017 and 2018 regular featured guest, Ian Locke from the Norfolk Tides. How are you, my friend?
I'm great, Greg. Thanks for having me.
Congratulations. Great off-season. You had a marriage, but it seemed like the Orioles had a lot of changes right during the time you were getting married.
Yeah, busy off-season. I got married, had a honeymoon in Spain, and while I was doing all that stuff, Orioles had a hectic off-season as well. So they started off the off-season by firing Dan Duquette and Buck Showalter, the longtime general manager and manager of the Orioles, and moved in a different direction after an admittedly poor 2018 season. And hired a new general manager in Mike Elias and a new manager in Brandon Hyde. Elias has a background, heavy analytic background with the Astros, where he helped oversee kind of a rebuild of that franchise, where they've been one of the more obviously winning a World Series and making the ALCS this last year. And then Brandon Hyde was the bench coach in Chicago under Joel Madden. So two new younger and a little more analytics based some changes, and hopefully that bodes well for the Orioles franchise going forward.
Absolutely. Talking to Ian Locke right there. And, of course, that also meant the end of Ron Johnson.
Yeah, unfortunately, RJ, Ron Johnson had been here for 7 years, which is a really long time for a AAA manager to stay in one place. We were extraordinarily lucky to have him here, but with the new management at the top, RJ was let go to kind of go see somewhere else. We haven't seen him land anywhere yet, but we're hopeful he is. He's just a great person, great guy, and we'll just certainly miss him. Not only as the manager of the Tides, but friendships with him. He was really good about coming in every day and saying hello to folks in the ticket office and just walking around the office and saying hello to everybody and get to know everybody's names, and it'll be a change, and we'll miss him. That's for sure.
Well, let's talk about that, too, as far as just because the Orioles had a bad year doesn't mean they're going to be much better this year. They might improve, of course, record-wise, but as long as the Yankees and Red Sox keep on putting that money in and that talent in, I mean, the Red Sox won the World Series, it seems like, again, and what are you going to do? It seems like the Orioles are just a very, very tough decision no matter what they did during the offseason.
Yeah, it's a tough division. I mean, that's probably one of the, if not the hardest division in baseball. I mean, you have two Goliaths there in the Red Sox and Yankees who seem to have as much money as they want to spend. They spend it, and Red Sox coming off one of the a historically great year, winning the World Series. They won 108 games during the regular season. The Yankees won 100 games as well, and then Tampa. I mean, Tampa. The poor Rays finished with 90 wins and weren't even close to making the playoffs. So they had a great year. Toronto was a little bit rebuilding, and the Orioles were, hate to say it, historically bad. But there's times change quickly in baseball. From 2012 through 2016, the Orioles had the most wins of any American League team. They made the playoffs 3 times in 5 years, and won a division, went to the ALCS 1 year. So. As quickly as things got bad, hopefully they can turn around and get good quickly. But like I said, Mike Elias, who's the new general manager, he oversaw the same kind of thing in Houston, where Houston was really, really bad, but they got some high draft picks, and they hit on those with Carlos Correa and Alex Bregman and some other young players, and that franchise turned around so quick, and they won over 100 games last year, and like I said, World Series and ALCS last 2 years. Hopefully he can replicate that in Baltimore.
Talking to Ian Locke from the Norfolk Tides, Media Relations Director, Greg Bicouvaris, at Greg Bick on Twitter. We'll get all Ian's social media in just a little bit later as well. And you talk about the offseason. Let's take it quarter by quarter. What's going on the first quarter of the year at the Norfolk Tides clubhouse from January to March? You had a few staff changes. One young lady resigned, of course, last year, kind of retired from the Tides. Not totally, but she's no longer working full-time. Talk about your staff changes and also any other changes besides Ron Johnson.
Yeah, so it's January to March is kind of a pretty busy season for us. We have, like you said, a couple of staff changes. One of which you mentioned Heather McKeating, who was our longtime community relations director. She was here for 25 years. She left the Tides to spend some more time with her family because this is this job does require a whole lot of hours here at the ballpark, and she's got a young son that she wanted to spend some more time with, so we can't fault her too much for that. But this time of year is a lot of getting ready for the season, finalizing sponsorship, setting up the promotion schedule. That's a big thing. Most of our staff was in Las Vegas for the baseball winter meetings in December, where we went and met with other teams and met with promotions folks, and that's where we finalize our giveaways, and if we're giving away hats or jerseys or any special guests that we have throughout the season. So the next couple months are now finalizing that promotional schedule and getting sponsors for certain things, and trying to get together a fun schedule that fans will want to come out, and we try and have something every game if we can, that'll encourage folks to come out to the ballpark. So it's a busy time of year for me on my kind of team centric end. It's figuring out who the heck these new guys are that the Orioles are getting. A lot of the Orioles made some moves already with the Rule 5 draft, where they picked up 3 players. Richie Martin is a shortstop that the Orioles took with the first overall pick in the Rule 5 draft. So there's a good chance he could be the Orioles' starting shortstop on opening day. And they actually drafted a player named Taylor Grover, who's an interesting kind of project in the minor league Rule 5 draft, where he's a guy that was pitching in the independent league last year, but reportedly has hit 102 miles an hour. So he was kind of erratic, but the Orioles picked him up as a project, and there's a really good chance we could see him here in Norfolk, lighting up the radar gun. So busy time of year, but we're certainly looking forward to the season starting, in early April.
Yes, several decades now to Harbor Park.
This is, it's good. Geez, it's 28th season, I think, coming up here. So, excuse me, the ballpark's in great shape still, and we're excited. I mean, it's the fall is a nice time for us to, as a staff, to kind of catch our breath after a long summer, and now we're kind of in the winter months, but and we're only 90, 100 days, somewhere around there, away from baseball again. So we're thrilled for it, and we're excited for it. And any new changes around here, we'll be sure to let everyone know. And we're pumped.
One thing you never can predict, of course, last year had a lot of rain, whether you're home or away. It seemed like even on the road trips there were rain issues as well, but especially at home where it's relevant to the Norfolk and Hampton Roads community, you can never control that. And you mentioned promotions. Are there days you don't have promotions in certain games?
Sometimes early in the season. I mean, we have an odd schedule this year where our first homestand is from April 11th to April 21st. So it's it's 11 games in a row in April, which is certainly not ideal. Both everyone when they get their schedule kind of looks, a couple things. For both the clubs, we want Friday, Saturday, Sundays as much as possible in the summertime is ideal. April is not great. It's cold. It's kids are still in school. So that first homestand in April, there may be a couple days, maybe a Monday or Tuesday, where there's not anything really major going on, just because we've done that before where we've had big giveaways in early April on a Monday or Tuesday, and it's cold, and kids are still in school and people don't come out to the park. So we're hopeful we'll avoid the rain from last year. We had 6 games postponed because of rain, and we had, I don't even know how many more delayed at some point. I think we had something along the lines of, during our 70 home games, it rained in Norfolk on 34 of those days. So that was not great. Even if it rains in the morning at 9, 10 o'clock, and we have a night game, that kind of sets the tone for the day for a lot of folks that they're not thinking baseball to come out that night. So we want better weather. That's the goal. And we weren't alone. There was a whole bunch of rain issues throughout minor league baseball and Major League Baseball last year. So hopefully this year's a little better weather and we can get some more fans in the seats.
But you brought up a good point about April. I mean, that's a lot of home games in a month where, like you said, the weather's not good. Kids are still in school. You're not even reaching Memorial Day yet. And that's a lot of games because really you'd want most of your games in May through August. Home.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's weird, and it's one of those things too where as for the Tides, we don't mind having 6 or 7 games in a row. It's a week, and then you go on the road for a week and come back for a week. That's a pretty good. You kind of get in a pattern where you're home for a week, off for a week, so every other weekend kind of thing. When you start to get 10, 11 days in a row, that's tough to fill promotions and stuff for that whole week. But it's also tough on the staff too. Where we're working 12, 13, 14, 15-hour days. By game 9 or 10, we're dragging a little bit, trying to get some sleep. And I'd be the first to admit we're not as sharp as we could be, staff-wise as well. Not just the front office staff, but the game day employees who are here every night. So that'll be a tough stretch to start off the year. But the one good thing is that it is the beginning of the season, so excitement will be high for the season to begin. And with Mike Elias and the new ownership group, new general manager, not ownership group, but general manager coming in, they focused a lot on the younger players and kind of a rebuild. So that's probably going to bode well for us, where they're going to try and focus on more prospects and signing younger players. And the Orioles may not be great this year, but hopefully that translates to the minor league levels, minor league teams doing better because the Orioles are focusing so much more on prospects and developing talent.
Absolutely, because at least one good thing about April, it's not 100 degrees outside either, but still, you don't want to play, you only play, 70-plus home games, correct?
70 home games, yep.
Yeah, so you don't want to have, a tenth of them in the cold spring of April, but still, it is what it is. Talking to Ian Locke right here. All right, the second quarter of the year, is there going to be an exhibition this year?
At this point, no, but it's early. At this point last year, it was a no as well, and then we had one. So it's always a stretch. It's a matter of what the Orioles want to do. We're certainly open to it every year. We'd love to have it. Last year, I think it didn't develop until probably mid-February, where the Orioles finalized it. And with the Orioles having a new, like I said, general manager and manager, there's so much they need to get on their, get accomplished. They have their new coaching staff, new scouts, new analytics folks, manager here in Norfolk, manager in Bowie, all these, minor league coaching staffs to finalize. There's a lot of stuff on their plate. I'm not sure an exhibition game is in Norfolk is high on their list of, I guess, their totem pole of priorities at this point. But, once they get closer to spring training and they look, and, the Orioles open up their season on March 29th. So there's a chance. I mean, we'll see, but, we're hopeful. We're, never say never. And, last year, like I said, it came to fruition late, and we're all about it. We've been fortunate enough to have the Orioles here probably 6, 7, 8 times since we became an affiliate in 2007. So we're hopeful again, and we'll never say never. But at this point, nothing's lined up.
Give us the best visual you can over the airwaves here. Since we're on the radio and online as well. As far as the field, what happens during the field once the season is over up until April? Because of course, just like anybody else's grass, the fall, the winter, the spring are totally different.
Oh, yeah. Kenny Magner and Justin Hall, our head groundskeepers, will do a fantastic job. They winterize it. They get everything. I mean, I don't know the technical terms, but that's a full-time job for them. They're here throughout the fall and winter, still mowing when they can. Obviously, we try to avoid the snow whenever possible. Last year we had some, if you remember, a big snowstorm in early January that kind of set everything back a little bit. But if we can avoid some snow and those guys will keep edging and mowing and making sure the grass is seeded properly. And like I said, I don't know all the specifics, but those guys are out there even when it's look outside and it's 35 degrees out there and it's cold. Everyone's bundled up, and you look out there and they're mowing the grass because they can, because it's a dry day and grass needs to be mowed. So they do a great job, and you can still you could play on this field now if you wanted to. That's how good this field is. So. It's just a testament to those guys doing a great job all year round.
Are you able to personally do more things that you enjoy doing during the off season? Because during the season, especially at homestand, you really have very little time other than waking up and going to the ballpark and getting home.
Oh yeah, we have I often mention it, but probably from mid-March until about Labor Day, there's really no days off for me because we play almost every day. Even when the team's on the road, the only times we have, off days are usually Mondays when the team's on the road or home. But the Orioles aren't off a lot of those days too. So there's player moves and there's website things and random things that happen. So I'm always kind of checking the phone. I can't really just turn off the phone and be gone from the world for a day or two. So in the fall, it's a lot of catching our breath from the last season. But I was fortunate enough to traveled to Orlando and Las Vegas this fall, and then obviously went to Spain for 10 days for my honeymoon.
Sure.
So I had a very busy fall and winter, which was great, and got to see some family for the holidays, and a lot of that stuff I can't do during the summer. I've missed many a wedding and many family gathering because Tides have a game here or there, or even when I do get a chance to go out of town for one of those things, I'm always bringing my laptop and checking on things because you can't really unplug during the season. So the fall is nice to kind of set the phone away and set the laptop away and not work as hard. But now we're back in the swing of things here in January, and looking forward to another season. Going to be busy coming up soon, but I don't mind the busyness. That's why I'm in this business.
What was the best thing you ate in Spain?
I had some amazing paella in Barcelona. There was a authentic paella in Spain. Every meal also had a bottle of wine on the table, which
nice.
Which didn't hurt either. So that was a nice touch that the Spanish have. And anytime you sit down for a meal, they have the wine, but also some appetizers they always bring out. That's just kind of included in every meal. So some nice croquettes and some fantastic breads, and it was great. It was great. A great experience to see some other culture and to unwind in a different country was an experience I'll always remember.
Absolutely. All right, leave us with the social media.
Yeah, so if anyone wants to follow up on the Tides, like I said, we'll be in the next month or two probably putting out some promotional schedules and fireworks. You can follow us on at Twitter at Norfolk Tides. You can also look at Facebook.com/Norfolk Tides and Instagram at Norfolk Tides as well. So we'll post primarily there. You can also follow us on Snapchat and on our YouTube channel, Norfolk Tides Clips.
All right, Ian, thank you so much. We'll catch up with you later in the spring in the second quarter, and we will talk to you very soon, my friend.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Ian Locke right there from the Norfolk Tides, at Greg Bick on Twitter, at GJB Radio.
What tees you off? Presented by HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com.
And I want to thank our good friends at Outback Steakhouse in Kempsville, now delivering. Go by and see Mike and their wonderful staff. They'll take good care of you from the minute you walk in. Remodeled, spacious, nice dining area, excellent bar, lunch and dinner 7 days a week in a most pleasing atmosphere. Burger, steak, soup, salads, appetizers, seafood, pasta, chicken, ribs, chops, appetizers, desserts, and much more. Great soda, tea, adult beverages, dine-in or carry-out. Excellent food for everyone as well. Like them on Facebook, download their app. Follow Outback Steakhouse on Twitter. They deliver in Virginia Beach, 1255 Fordham Drive. Give them a call, 523-4832 for Outback Steakhouse in Kempsville. What teased me off, Joe Daniel, people who are stuck in a rut and never evolve or get out of it.
Yeah, you need to adapt. You start circulating in that. When you're in the rut, all you're doing is just working your way and digging that hole deeper and making it harder for yourself to even get out of it. But adapting, trying to look at the bright side, and calling upon other people. I think a lot of people isolate themselves and recoil back when they feel that they're in a rut, as opposed to reaching out and asking people for help. And it's humbling. It's humbling. It can sometimes feel embarrassing to ask for help, but I think a lot of people want to help. And if you're a part of a church or a small group, those people are there specifically for that reason, to help you in those moments.
It's good to have downtime and alone time, but we're people. We need other people to coexist, feeding off energy, just companionship, friendship, whatever. It's good to get over that rut. My dad said something a long time ago that was exactly right. A lot of times we're laying down thinking in bed. We think too much about the past, the present, the future, and then, like you said, we recoil and we start going into tornado effect of all of our issues.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, change the things that you have power over and limit yourself to just that, and don't stress about the things, like you said, in the past. They already happened. Learn from your mistakes, move forward, and if it's in the future, try to steer your direction and make the choices to make the proper or best future come to fruition. But until then, live in the present and make your decisions count.
I really believe in this. Idleness is the devil's workshop. When you're moving and have action and you're being active during the day, you don't tend to think about a whole lot of your issues.
Right, absolutely.
And you're too tired when you get home at night, so that's a good thing. We just got over holiday season. Gift wrapping is never fun.
That's one of the worst parts about it, and that's why I like the bags. Those little gift bags, and put a little bit of tissue paper in there, color tissue. That's the way to go for me. I don't like wrapping. It's the worst for me.
Exactly. You go to a restaurant, is one thing, you give the benefit of the doubt, the food is a little cold, but an unprepared wait staff. I went to one restaurant, we're going to go nameless, and the person was just going through the menu when I was asking what's in the menu, just like shuffling through it like it was some type of book kind of, or deck of cards, just flicking, like, okay, where's the seafood? What's the special? What's going on this month? And literally was clueless when I was talking to him.
Yeah, of course, there's always forgiveness. If they're new, they need time to look at the menu, but that's also another thing for me, where if the menu is too big, I don't like flipping through pages and pages and pages and a menu. I like maybe 2 pages, front and a back, maybe a third for drinks or something like that, appetizers. But for the most part, I like simplicity, and I think it's easier for everybody. I think it's easier for the clientele. It's easier for the wait staff, like you're saying, when you ask them, have you tried that? How is it? They're able to actually give you an educated answer because they've tried it themselves. There's not very much in the menu to even sort through. It's very simple. So I like that.
Then you also have these con artists too. I talk to these restaurant people that people pretend like their food is not good when they're really just trying to escape the paycheck or paying the bill.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Those are bad customers. Like, oh, it had too much seasoning on the fish.
Or they pretend to find a hair in it or something.
Yeah, their own.
Yeah, exactly. They purposefully put their own hair in or something. That's just, that's gross.
There
are
people that premeditate it, unfortunately. It's
yeah.
really sad. Look on YouTube. YouTube's got a lot of videos as well. Raw food of any kind.
Well, I don't know. I like raw vegetables. I prefer raw vegetables over steamed or grilled sometimes. Sometimes I just like the raw veggie and put them in some dipping sauce or something like that.
I was referring mostly to seafood and meat. I do like shrimp cocktail that's raw.
Yeah, shrimp cocktail is great, but you're right. I'm one of those mediums. Kind of, if I want a steak, I'm going to order it medium. Just a little bit of pink in there, just enough to keep it juicy, but nothing super rare.
I went to one place during the holidays to buy some gifts, and they had like 10 checkout lines. It's the rush of the holidays, then December 26th, and it's like all over, and it hits you in the face. I mean, it takes a few days to recover after Christmas and New Year's, unlike any other holidays. You don't hear people saying that after Easter or Thanksgiving. And Easter's tough for Christians. Holy Week is very taxing if you're going to church a lot.
Oh, yeah.
But you don't hear people saying, well, I recover from Holy Week is one thing, but to recover from the Christmas rush and the New Year's rush is really tiring.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, we don't do it for any of the other holidays because I don't think there's anywhere near the buildup for it. Christmas is just one of those, it really is a season as opposed to a day. Yes, there is Christmas Day, but it really is a season of time. All of December is all focuses on that. Similar to maybe Halloween would probably be like that. It's similar, but still nothing to the magnitude that Christmas is.
Right, there's a hype. You can see the glow in people right before Christmas, but guess what? You can see that glow gone right after Christmas, too. It really is, like you said, it starts around November 1st. It goes all the way to January 2nd.
Yeah.
It really does. Okay, your car breaking down constantly.
The worst. If it's constant, you need I know people have financial struggles, but that's one of the things. Instead of putting money into fixing the car, maybe the better idea is putting money into a better car, a different car altogether.
There's nothing worse than this, food in your teeth.
Yeah,
popcorn.
Or telling someone. I mean, that's horrible in itself. Or somebody telling you, hey, you have something in your teeth. You're grateful for it, but at the same time, it's pretty embarrassing to know that you've been talking. And how long? I mean, if it's been hours since you had lunch and there's still something in your teeth, how many people have you interacted with leading up to that point?
You're exactly right, though, which takes me to my next point is when you're talking to someone and you see something on their face or their head, could be like a protruding piece of skin or something, just something awkward on their face or their head, and you can't help but notice it. You're not being rude, but you're looking at it while you're making eye contact.
It's distracting.
And it's distracting, and also makes you kind of queasy as well. That's awkward.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know where your eye should go. Obviously, you know your eye should be in their eyes, making good eye contact, but at the same time, I'm sure that they see when your eyes break contact and they're looking somewhere else other than their eyes, and it's probably a subconscious thing that they're aware of as well.
You're exactly right. Nothing worse than this, shaking somebody's sweaty hands.
Clammy hands, absolutely. Where it's sweaty or clammy. I appreciate a good firm handshake, but sometimes when it's sweaty or something, and again, they probably know that they have sweaty hands too, and who knows the reason. Maybe their pores are too big on their hands or something. I once knew a kid who actually had just naturally really wet, clammy hands all the time. And I don't know why, but it's just his body chemistry and the way that he was. But absolutely. Or shaking someone's hand who maybe just came from the bathroom and they wash their hands, so you know their hands are clean, but still touching someone else's hand that's wet.
I'll take it a step further. When you see that sign up at bathrooms in restaurants that say, employees, please wash your hands before you go back out in the public, customers do the same thing too. Please wash your hands. It can cut back on the flu, germs, hepatitis, and so forth.
Everything, yeah. Washing your hands. One of the worst things that tease me off is people going to the bathroom, doing their business, and then just walking right out. I hate it. I mean, wash your hands. Even if you don't touch anything per se, you still need to wash your hands. It's just a courtesy thing, and it's just good hygiene, not just for yourself, but for other people. Think about other people.
You're exactly right, because when you walk into a public restroom, let's say at a gas station, you don't know if there's a vagrant in there, a homeless person, somebody who's camping out in there. You don't know how dirty these bathrooms are as well. So you got to wash your hands, because public bathrooms are the worst. Almost like a hotel bed for bed bugs. I'm sorry, that's really bad too. The last thing that teased me off, okay, I'm not going to pick on this one person, but I don't call out names, but we just got over the holiday season. We just got over Thanksgiving. We just got over Christmas. People came back to work on January 2nd, and this person's already taking Thursday and Friday off. People who constantly take days per weeks off in the course of a year because either they don't like their job or they're not happy at home. But people who constantly take time off work, Joe Daniel, something is wrong.
Yeah, it could be something is wrong. I know some people, though, wait until the end of the year. You know, it's one of those vacation sick days where they don't use it the entire year, and it's use it or lose it, and they have to use them, and that's understandable. But if you're constantly calling in sick even though you're not sick, there is, like you said, something is wrong. There is an issue there. Maybe find a new career, find something that motivates you, that gets you passionate. Don't get stuck in that rut that we were saying before. Don't get stuck in that rut and just calling in sick, not showing up, asking other coworkers to cover your slack. Work hard and stay consistent, stay reliable.
Right, because people that take off time from work, there really something could be a hidden issue. That's what teased me off. I want to thank our guests today, Adam Winkler and Ian Locke. For more, go to gjbtv.com. Hit the YouTube link for great shows of Sports Scene and archived audio and video. At Greg Bick on Twitter, at GJB Radio on Twitter. You can see the rest of my Twitter handles on gjbtv.com as well. Become a favorite on TuneIn by typing WPMH in the search bar during Sports Scene from Saturday from 10 to 11. For Joe Daniel, I'm Greg Bicouvaris. We'll talk to you soon.